Hopefully this will work. There we go. I'll get the hang of it someday. All right, so first the four-way test. I will just, I don't have a bell, so ding, 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 but I'll just do it first and then I'll click through and you can talk with me. So of the things we think, say, and do.
Is it
Is it the truth?
Is it the truth? Let's see, is it working?
Fair to all
Is it
concerned.
fair to all concerned?
will be
Will it
Build
build
goodwill and
goodwill and
better
better friendships?
Friendships? Will it be
Will it be
beneficial?
beneficial to all concerned?
So I don't know how that looked for you, but for me, there was a huge lag going on. So I didn't see anything that I did, but it sounded great. So well done. All right. So first off, let's do guests. Are there any guests here? Let me just have a quick look. If I can see. I don't think so. So, and if there are, please just open your mic and tell me. So I have a nice announcement actually to make. I was talking to Yannick, which is the Belgian guy that you might have seen here on the presentation on the Green Wall of Africa. And we are officially a part of the global grant participating in the Green Wall of Africa, regardless if we want to contribute, yes or no. He just liked our club very much and he added our name to the list, which means we are now a part of a huge project, which actually is being supported by Rotary clubs from over 3 continents. And I think they've reached like 60 clubs that are participating right now. So I am very happy about it and hope you are as happy as me in that regard. Right. So I'm not sure if there is a sergeant at arms today. I don't think so. Well, in that case, I'll just do it. Are there any birthdays or anniversaries? I don't see any hands, I think. So if you have one, just start talking. No? All right. So any sad dollars? No sad dollars? Fine. That's you making my job very easy today. All right. So any happy dollars then? Kimberly.
Yeah, I leave tomorrow for Australia for my tour of Tasmania and then the Rotary Convention. And you were talking earlier about hosting past district governors or district governors. Well, I hosted district governor from Hobart. And so I'm going to be staying with them for a couple of days before the actual tour of Tasmania takes place. So one of the best things about Rotary is meeting and getting to be friends with people from around the globe. So I'll be staying with Ross and Penny for a couple of days before the tour and then go to Melbourne for the convention.
Nice.
I'll try to report from there.
Yeah, that'd be great. And you might even want to do like a presentation afterwards of your experiences there.
Yeah, because like you in Thailand, the time difference, I'm probably not going to be up at 2 o'clock in the morning, but I'll be happy to talk about it when I get back.
Great. That sounds fun. Thank you. All right. Any other happy dollars?
Jen's happy from the Derby, I know.
I saw a picture from that. Yeah, I like the glasses.
I think they won.
Marty picked the winner. I didn't.
Wait, how much?
I'm sorry?
How much did a $2 ticket pay?
31
Whoa.
something. Yeah.
Hopefully you had more than a $2 ticket.
We're not very big gamblers, so we keep it pretty low key.
Well, it sounded fun.
It was fun. It was a good time.
Mike?
I am happy to see you are back and in person.
Thank you. Well, I've been here last week as well, but usually I'm eating at this time, so that's why my camera is usually off.
Yeah, I'm at coffee. It's early here in Seattle.
Yeah, what time is it there?
3 hours different from Florida.
All right, so for me that's a 9-hour difference. So it's
9 o'clock there, 9:07 there.
All right, good.
And I got up at 8:33.
Wow.
I have to have the Lunesta wear off. That's
well, I'm happy to see you.
Happy to be here.
All right. Any other happy dollars? None, because in that case, I have a happy dollar. It's very random, but I bought a new lamp yesterday and I'm going to show it to you. Look at that. It's my little monkey.
A monkey lamp.
I was really hoping you'd have like a leg lamp and say it's fragile
Oh,
from
it's like a
Oh,
little hanging
very
lamp. And
good. Very good.
Christmas story.
I'm so excited about it because I have my ostrich lamp right there. And
Nice.
there is another monkey in the house somewhere. So I'm gathering a small zoo here.
I love your
Jen.
ostrich.
Jen,
Thank
I'm
you.
one of those old people that understands the reference you just made.
Good. It's a classic. Christmas
Yes.
Story movie is a classic.
45 years ago.
Yes, I don't. Oh, well, but that's my happy dollar. All right, so if there are no other happy dollars, I am going to, let's see, move on. Oh, sorry, Ailish, I didn't see your hand there for a moment.
Yes, I have a happy dollar for Kimberly. I am delighted she's going to Oz and particularly to Tasmania. I hope when you're there that in Hobart that you look up the home of X by Peter Wright, who published the book Spycatcher, which caused great consternation. And I wish you all the very best of luck and happy travels.
Thank you, Ailish. I think she appreciates that. All right, Michael, you have your hand up as well?
I have a happy dollar to hear Kimberly, and happy that she accepted my apology for making a stupid comment a few weeks ago. I wish I could see her though.
We can never see Kimberly, I think. Only in
I've seen
person.
her. I've seen her.
Yeah, me too, in person. That's good. All right, thank you. So let's see. Moving on, we have a speaker today, which is Lyn, and we're very excited to have her again. Last time she was here, she was talking about the women in Rotary, and today she's going to talk about her trip in Guatemala, and I'm really excited about it. I think we all know Lyn, and we don't need the entire introduction again like we did last time. But if you do want to know, please send me a message and I'll send it to you. All right, so with that, let's see if we can share your screen, Lyn.
All right.
I'm gonna try and stop sharing mine. See if I can. How do I stop sharing? That's the question. There we go. Okay, good. Let's see if we can share your screen.
So I'll press share on my end.
Yep,
There we go.
perfect.
Let me pull it over.
Mhm. And then you can actually click on slideshow.
Yes, that's where I'm going next.
Perfect.
Since I have a central trimmer, my hands don't move real fast.
That's okay. I'm sorry. I didn't want to rush you.
And sometimes I do goofy things and hit buttons and then don't know what I did to the computer.
Well, I do the same sometimes, and I do not have a tremor, so
Okay,
there we go.
I think we're good to go.
Mhm.
Well, let me start by saying why Guatemala. I've been doing work in Guatemala now for 13 years, and a lot of work around the garbage dump with some schools there and projects throughout that also include the highlands for the Mayans in Guatemala. I've worked with a lot of different partners. I really believe in partnerships. And why Guatemala? Well, one of the reasons is that Guatemala has some of the highest rates of poverty. And for children under 5, it has one of the highest rates in the world for malnutrition. So that has been a big part of our goal for global grants that work up in the highlands and with the Mayans. The other reason is I believe that you really don't become a true Rotarian until you go on an international trip and actually work on a project, even if it's just for a day. And I like to Guatemala because it's easy to get to, it's easy to fly to for people in the United States. And so I'm able to bring teams down, and I bring a team down every year. And hopefully we'll be bringing Interact kids on one of the next ones, because I work with a whole group of Rotaractors down in Guatemala that are with one of the clubs we work with. These are the projects that we visited in Guatemala. You can see we flew into Guatemala City, went to, I don't know if my marker will show this. Does that show when I move my marker to you?
Yes, yes, it does. Thank you.
Okay, there's Antigua, and this is Guatemala City up here. This is Antigua. And then up in this area is the highlands, where we've been working. And it's about, takes about an hour and a half to 2 hours in a truck, because we go up in dirt roads, and we can't do this in the summertime because of the rains, because you can't get there. So these are the projects. We visited the community center because a lot of different people had contributed to the community center. A club in California, a club in Wisconsin, a club in South Carolina, and then several clubs in Florida. What do we do with the community center? This was a bottoms up project where the people living there, and there are about 30 to 40,000 people living around the dump. It's its own municipality. And in fact, the people, they kind of manage to get into the government wires, so they get free electricity throughout there. So the government just kind of ignores them. They don't do a good job for school, and usually children only get 4 years of schooling, and usually the maximum is 6 years. They came to, the group around there came to the Planting Seeds organization, which has a number of schools. And they said, we want a community center, a place that's safe to go. So a lot of my pictures that I'm first going to show you, we provided, a number of us wrote district grants because Rotary wouldn't allow a community global grant for this project. We needed almost 80,000, and we got it through district grants and cash to provide all the interior for the community center. We also visited a school for the blind, some city parks that we funded, Queremos, which is next to the dump, and I'll be talking about that. That's an organization we've helped in the past. One of the Planting Seeds schools, San Lucas, and Seme a Pescar, which is Teach Me to Fish, which is a school for children with disabilities, and a Mayan village where we actually spent 5 hours working with Mayan families constructing gray water filter systems. And our last stop was Loving Arms. And we got this all in a week, so we were pretty busy. This shows you the terrain of Guatemala. They have, I believe it's 31 volcanoes. One of them, this one here, which is right next to Antigua, is Fuego. And then there's also Agua, which is kind of funny to have the fire volcano and the water volcano next to it. And Antigua used to be the capital of Guatemala, but a volcano destroyed it, and the capital moved to Guatemala City many years ago. We just happen to be visiting and touring Guatemala City, and we came across the Easter, one of the pre-Easter celebrations. And so these are the priests from the church that they're walking out of, a young child that participated. And also this mat that you see in green is all done with natural seeds and different things. And this isn't even an elaborate one. I've seen some very elaborate ones. This is the location for the community center. And when I was approached, could Rotary help? This is where Planting Seeds took me and showed me that this was the land that they were going to buy, that the people living there at the dump had been with them to choose this piece of property, which was right next to a park that we could obtain permission from the government there to restore that park and have it for people that were living at the dump that would look like part of the school. This is when we just went there on our trip. They hadn't completed it. This shows some of the building and construction of the community center and some of the staff. This one is Shannon, who is one of the CEOs down there for the Planting Seeds. And in another one, you'll see Matt, who is also one of the, and this is Matt. And this shows the construction of it going up on the left of the community center. And this was our team and also members of the Uwara Rotary Club. And the Uwara Club is a group, and these are 3 of the members right here, there, and these 2 people. So I guess the whole club was there, 5 members. They have 5 members. They're a satellite club of the large Vista Hermosa Club. And this small club we've worked with on a number of projects, and they do all the buying for us. They do all the receipts for us, all the handling of everything. They're an amazing group of people. This park behind you, they were involved along with the Rotaractors, and it hadn't been painted and completed yet for doing that park. And the Rotaract group, they hired the contractors. They did all the work with the help of the UR Club, teaching them how to do that and how to deal with the municipality, which was not easy because this mayor wanted a handoff, some money from this. And so it was quite a task getting his permission for this. This was a dinner that we all went to, and this is the current district governor, Coralina, in the middle on the left. And on the right, some of you, especially the person from California, may know Julio Gracioso. He's traveled all over and all over the US. Now he's hiking mountains all over the world. And I call him the guru of global grants because they handle normally at least 10 grants in their club per year. At any given time, they're handling 10 grants. And down below is, I made the 2 people that I work with the most in the Uwara Club, I made them Paul Harris Fellows. This is at the Blind School, and I was still with the Madison South Rotary Club at the time. And now I'm with the Sunrise Club of Vero Beach. And we wrote a district grant for purchasing needed equipment for the School for the Blind in Guatemala City. And you can see all these canes that we were able to purchase. And a lot of it is because the Uwara Club is very good at bargaining. and know where to go to purchase items. This is us giving a cane to the children. They did not have a walking cane. And then down below on the right, they were experimenting using them. This is, we had money left from the park. And so the Uara Club approached another person that was the head of the municipality for this area that was right near where children didn't have a place to play. So we did this park, developed this park from the money. And this was money that I was able to obtain from the Andresen group of Morgan Stanley in Walnut Creek, California. This is a Rotarian that's a friend of mine. And she's just pretty much said, how much money do you need to finish everything? So she was very generous, and she was a major donor on our project for the community center and for these parks. This just shows you one block off from where those parks are. This is the living condition of the people there. We went and visited the families. The Uara staff knew them, the Uara Rotarians. And they're basically squatters, like people around the dump. We visited a program called Cremos, which is a program for empowering women. And this is in Guatemala City. And it started as an offshoot of a school called Safe Passages. And they realized that the adults were not getting enough training to make a living. And it was very difficult for them to live off the dump. And that's pretty much what they do. They live off the dump by getting recyclables and then selling those for, and they make very little money. So with this trade, these women were learning to sew. And this is what they overlook from where their area is part of the dump in there. And they sell and make things for companies around Guatemala. So they're making a very good living now for their families. And they are trying to expand that program. So we visited it because we've supported them in the past. We visited Planting Seed School in San Lucas. They have 7 schools throughout Guatemala. And the construction of a community center was a first for them. They have an arm in the United States that does the fundraising for them. And then they were able to purchase the land and build the center, but they did not have enough money to provide for the interior of the center because they were trying to fund for the ongoing operational expense, which they had to prove to us was sustainable. Well, we don't do everything. That's a lot of work when we're in Guatemala. So this is one of the restaurants that overlooks 2 of the volcanoes in Antigua. And we went there for lunch. And this hotel, Casa Santo Domingo, and the owner, Diego, is very involved with Rotary. He isn't a Rotarian, but he's involved in a lot of different things. And he not only owns the hotel, but this whole mountaintop that is a beautiful park with a lot of things that are run by the Mayans there. We then went to the school for children with disabilities. And I've been working with this school now for about 7 years, and they were in very good shape. They had about 50 children. This was about 7 years ago when we provided services for them, and we provided a physical therapist, fundraised for that. And they had, this physical therapist had 14 of the 25 children walking within 3 years, which meant that they were more accepted in their family and were able to do things. We also provided a lot of medical equipment, crutches, wheelchairs. We painted and restored the inside of the school they were in. And then along comes the government and swept the school out from under them and said, you can no longer be here. We're moving you. And they moved them into a space that was so small, they could no longer teach the children or deal with anything for the children. And they had to store all the furnishings we had provided for them on the roof, which was later destroyed in a volcano. And they really wanted to move forward and have their own school. What they did do that was amazing is the parents all got together and they voted the mayor out that allowed this to happen. And they then voted in someone that was on their board. So what they were told is, if you will take the children with learning disabilities, which meant they grew by 100 children, then we will give you a large facility. Now, this is before and after. You see the desks down before, and then after you see the desks that Uwara Club was able to purchase for us. But I want to go back a minute. This area down here, this land, is all very small piece of a land that was purchased by a Frey organization that is working with this school now. And they're going to be building there, doing a building. And we hope 2 years from now to do a global grant to provide for the furnishings to that building, because it's a school. Rotary will allow us to do a global grant for that. So these are the before and after. And then Julio Gracioso on the left had all of us over for a dinner one night. He has an outdoor pizza area. So it was a lot of fun for all of us because we were working hard during the day and we tried to make it fun for everybody and do something fun in the evening. Then we went up to Tecpan. This was our working day. So this shows you the distance. It was 32 miles. It took us almost 2 hours though. We rode in a van up to about this point right here. And then we had to pile into the back of a truck to be able to be carted up to the rest of the village that we were going to be working with. And in that village, there was a global grant. And this one, particular one, wasn't ours. One before that was ours. We had built latrines and stoves with the families. This time we were doing gray water filters for someone else's global grant so that we could have a hands-on project with a Mayan family. And this shows you where we were and what we were doing. To the left here is up above where, oh, let me go back, is up above where they'll be putting in the sink that you'll later see that they can use. And then down below, we were building the gray water filter system where it would flow down and be filtered in the gray water filter. This is one of the past stoves that like we've built in other villages so that it's vented to the outside. And different organizations have come in with their own stoves and put them in, and we'd go back and they wouldn't be using that stove. They'd have a fire again next to it. because it wasn't built to the specifications of what the family needed. So this organization we worked with, ABPD Association Verhorst, partnering development. They have been there for 40 years, and the last 20 years they've been working with villages, and they go into the villages and ask what the villagers need, and the villagers have to then form a team that raises some money for what it is that they're going to want, so that they have skin in the game. And this is when we arrived, this is what the hole looked like at each of the homes that we were working on for a gray water filter system. So they had the holes already dug, and they were 15 feet deep. And this on the left shows where they have the sink and what ends up either above or at each of the homes where they do their washing. This in the middle, I'm helping somebody do the rebar. This is where I desperately wish my son, who's an iron worker, was there, because he could have done this if he had had the right tools, because all they have is pliers and a machete. They do and build everything with pliers and a machete. So when we go away, we're singing, all you need is a machete. All you need is a machete, from the Beatles song. On the right down below, that's one of our team members mixing what's going to be the mortar that we put around for all the lay the blocks around the gray water. And this is one of the ones where the sink is going to go, and that's the rebar in it. And one of our creative Rotarians, before they got the rebar down, she wrote Rotary in there. This is me around the hole. I'm laying the mortar down. And then we had a French student with us who was staying with one of our team members that came on the trip, Victoria, and she became very good at splitting the bricks for us with this machete and a hammer. So she'd split them, and then she'd hand them off to me. Over on the right, team members are sifting to for what they need to make the mortar and what we needed for the project. This is what it looked like afterwards. They had run the pipe. You can see where from the one I showed you in the beginning, they ran the pipe all the way down and then into this. And then they will put a protective top on top of this for the completion of this. These were the families that we worked with, and our whole team together with the families, and they came out and helped, and they also cooked for us and provided a lunch for us. And then on the right is a ceremony. They wanted to have a ceremony. They always bless whatever it is, whether it's a stove or anything. So we were blessing this particular gray water filter. And over on the left is Bruce, and he is from Aldea, which is the funding arm in the United States for this group, ABPD. And it's been recognized very highly from Rotary International because of what they do and how sustainable it is. When they go into a village, when a village says, we need water and sanitation, we need maternal health, sometimes a village needs everything. When they go into that village with their team, that's all Guatemalan, that with a project manager, down there. They work with that village for 3 years, and they train women promoters. They train the men to be better husbands, because in many cases there are problems with abuse. They train them in nutrition and growing. They all grow a community garden, and they grow gardens in little pots around their trees, around their huts. So they do, if a woman comes to them and wants counseling for not having any more children, for contraceptive counseling, they will provide that. They don't put it out front because most of the group is Catholic, but a woman with 9 children or a lot of children that doesn't want any more will approach, and they will provide that information for them. So when you go back to these villages, which I did this last time, I went back to some of the previous villages. They were completely self-contained. They no longer needed help from the outside. They saved enough money if they had a water system to keep their pump running. They learned to work with the municipality, and the municipality helped them. So they have done now over 100 villages that are totally self-sustained. So think about that. Those people don't want to migrate. They want to stay in their home country. And if they have that kind of ability to stay in their own village and make a living, then that's where they want to be. We then finished our tours with Brazos Amorosos, which is Loving Arms. It's a school that we've helped in the past. We supplied the furniture for grade 4. And part of it is to show team members different projects, and also to check in to see if there's something else that they need. This was all the children. They have about 180 children from primary, and they're trying to go through high school. And they add on, they have plenty of land. They add on to their school 1 grade a year. And we found out that they were adding on the 7th grade, and they needed furnishings for that. So when we came back, we got a list from the Rotary clubs down there of what was needed, from comparing it with the projects we visited. And then we actually divided up all these needs, including some needs from the Lung League, which we weren't able to visit this time. And these are doctors that volunteer. We divided them up, and we are covering all of them with district grants this year. And this was visiting 2 children that were sponsored by a district governor on the last team that I brought down. And she wanted a picture of the children that she's sponsoring and a report on how they're doing. And on the left is the school that we supported for the 4th grade. That's a 4th grade school. And they're going to add on. Now this project does about 15 different things. They have cows, they have a dairy operation, they make cheese, they help build houses and restore houses and do things in the community. They teach adults, they teach English to adults. They do a lot of different projects to try to help with different things. In fact, I consulted with the University of Wisconsin dairy operation to get information for them, for their dairy operation down there. So that's one of the reasons why we like working with this school, is because they do so much for the community as well as teaching the children. So this was all of us in the background, and our last moment with the children. And gracias, we thank you. So I'm totally open for questions. We will take a team down every year. If I take some teenagers, it will be 2 times a year because I would take them in summer. So,
Well, thank you, Lynn. That was a very interesting presentation. And it's very humbling to see all those pictures, especially the people that are living like squatters that you showed us. That yeah, it makes you realize how well we have it here.
yes, especially when I've been in the dump and you visit families and they use a toilet that they scavenge from the dump as a chair in their hut. And half of their place is taken up with recyclables that they want to sell, that they have to store there until they can get them out to sell them. So there are a lot of needs there. The government, especially the Department of Education, is very corrupt. And they don't do hardly anything for education. The only hope any of these people have in Guatemala is from the private schools that are being put in Guatemala, because they don't even learn from certified teachers in the public schools.
Wow, it's unimaginable. Well, thank you. I see Mike has his hand up.
Lynn, a couple of questions. One, I saw that the last program, the children were all wearing masks, and I wondered if that was a carryover from COVID. And then secondly, I missed the first minute of your opening. Was this at all related to the tenement program that our district is participating in?
No, the tenement program is completely separate, and our district is very involved in the tenement. Are you in this district?
I'm in Melbourne Beach, sort of.
Melbourne Beach, yes. Okay, so yes, the tenement program is separate. And in fact, there was a team that was to go down to tenement, and there was a separate team that went down with, I think, the district governor. But I took people down that wanted to see a variety of programs and see what they do and what they could do for hands-on and learn about other kind of projects to work with. So the club that I'm in supports tenement, as well as any number of other, like they're going to support doing the furnishings for this 7th grade class.
What is your club?
The Vero Beach Sunrise.
Okay, we'd love to recruit you. So the children with the masks, was that COVID
Yes.
related?
Yes, there were several years that we obviously couldn't go down there. Especially we couldn't go up and be with the Mayans because of the threat of COVID down there. And this is, I think there were a number of the teachers at the school that were not wearing masks, but the children were wearing masks, because I think there was a low, they were just concerned with the children and the COVID in their homes. Even though the Rotarians were no longer wearing masks and the teachers there weren't wearing masks. And because we offered to wear masks wherever we went in respect for if they wanted us to wear masks, and they always said no.
All right, thank you. So we have a question from Neil Hagland. He is with us from the Rockledge Club. Neil, go ahead.
Hi, can you hear me, Denise?
Yes, I can.
Okay, great. Hey, Lynn, it's good to see you again. And I didn't realize that you went to Guatemala. Very, very interesting. You made a comment early on that I do have a question on,
Okay.
because our club, you know, has been doing district grants for every year for a long time. We're working on our first global grant. My question is, did you do this as a district grant or as a global grant?
Are you talking about the community center?
Yes.
We had to do it as a district grant. We had no choice. I would have loved to do it as a global grant because it was a ton of work coordinating all these different clubs for district grants. And the reason is that Rotary said there were too many different focus areas in the community center. So
Okay.
that's
Okay.
the reason.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you, Denise.
Good. Nice to hear from you. All right. Are there any other questions? Eilish.
I don't have a question, but I have a comment. This is extraordinary work, absolutely extraordinary work. And if I had a hat on now and you could see me, I would take the hat off to you, Lyn. It was just, that is a remarkable presentation, but to show the remarkable work that you're doing. And I wasn't aware that it was quite separate from a tenement, which in itself is an extraordinary program. But what you're doing is really giving people the ability to be self-reliant in the medium to long term, and that's what matters. That's what matters, allowing people to stay in their own environments, in their own homes, in their own communities, as opposed to trekking off all the way up through Mexico to the US border, which very often does not work. And the trauma of all of that is extraordinary. So people staying in their own environments, creating their own economies, and education and all of it's just that's extraordinary work. Thank you so much from me personally. I just really appreciate it. Thank you.
Well, thank you. I think a lot of us have experienced the passion of international work, and we probably get more back from it than they do, just because of the feeling of being able to offer something to them when they have so many different needs. But I totally support. I know of many programs, including a midwife program that a woman was doing that all over Guatemala. The only thing, I'm going to make this statement because I've been to a district conference in Guatemala. It was Julio Gracioso's. It's probably the best district conference I've ever been to because it was all TED Talks. And one of the things that I've found is that I think I just lost my train of thought. I'm sorry. The minute I said that about the district conference, then it went, whoa, it just went right out. Oh, I know what I was going to say that we brought up at one of the meetings that they had in Guatemala, there were about 200 Rotarians there, and there were focus area people from Rotary International. And we said, you know, it's a shame that we're tripping over each other in these various countries like Guatemala. And there's Doctors Without Borders and religious organizations, but there's also many different Rotary people from a lot of different areas. And we don't know what each other's doing. And there could be a lot better coordination about projects that we're doing in Guatemala. And everybody asked Rotary International, why can't you do something more similar to WASH, where somebody clicks on a country and you can see all the areas and all the things that people are doing for global and district grants. because Rotary International gets that information. And we wouldn't be able to see Doctors Without Borders and some of those. And I run into them and know a lot of them from my years going there. But it sure is helpful if we know more about Rotarians that are working on other projects in the same country. Because we could communicate more with one another. So that was my one thing that I wanted to share, that at a meeting down there, about 200 Rotarians said the same thing to Rotary International, but we've never gotten there yet.
Thank you. Eilish, did you have another question? Okay,
yeah,
Mike.
Eilish is up there. Eilish?
Sorry, I forgot to turn on my mic. That was a very interesting comment, Lyn, that you had just then. Is there a way to liaise through Rotary International, through USAID, through WHO, the World Health Organization, through UNHCR, to liaise with them? I know that individual clubs would find that very difficult, although it's not impossible, I would suggest. But at the same time, it seems to me that what you have just said is really cogent and very important to get some sort of global standard whereby all of these organizations, including you, and Kimberly has just come in and said that Rotary is working with USAID, and we talked about it. We talked about when I was in Quito. At the same time, I think that the conversation has to be ongoing, as opposed to just one-off every here and there, and now and again, and all of that kind of thing. I've no idea how it would be done, but I would like to talk to, if anyone is involved in that, I would like to get involved in such, such talks, such partnering. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I think to me, with the technology we have now, if somebody just committed, they look at it to us to list our project, but it doesn't come together and show by country and where you're working. And it just seems like, if Rotary could get somebody that was dedicated to doing some of that kind of information input, that we all could take advantage of, because they push partnering all the time. And I believe in I'm a huge believer in partnering. And that would sure help.
Yeah, agreed.
I've just put my email address in the chat. So if you would like to send me an email, Lyn, I would be really happy to talk to you about perhaps possible ways of doing more upscale partnering. I'm not technologically savvy. I'll be upfront about that at all. But I would be happy to talk to you about it. I have this organization which is called Partnering for Compliance, and it's all across the US. It's a not-for-profit, and we partner with the US federal government and with industry in relation to adhering to US export regulations. So that's a fairly national partnership, and it's been ongoing now for 22 years. So I'd be happy to talk to you about that.
Oh, that's good. Thank you, Eilish.
Thank you.
Okay.
I'm
going to put my email in there right now. And if you'd send me an email, that would be great.
Okay.
All right. So Kimberly also said that if she has a chance to raise it in Melbourne, that she will do that. So that's great. Michael also has a question.
So was this a club or district project? And secondly, how did you learn of this particular project, that location?
Which one of them? You mean like the community dump one or?
Or yeah, how did you learn about these projects that you decided to go to? And was this through your club or through our district?
No, I've been in 6 clubs, 5 different districts. So I'm fortunate, having moved around, that following my husband's career after I left my career in Wisconsin, I was introduced to different people that were also doing things down in Guatemala, especially one person who had a company there. And he just knew so many people in Guatemala, including the president, that he took me under his wing when I was in South Carolina. And he introduced me to any number of Rotarians and Rotary clubs and projects. And after he passed, I just continued work in Guatemala and asking the Rotarians and asking the people from the projects themselves, what do you need? What is it that is your greatest need? And so that's pretty much how I found these various projects. And if you go someplace for 13 years and keep going back, and you know a lot of the people, they take you under their wing and say, I want you to see a project, or come here, here's a really big need, and maybe we can work together on this. And that's pretty much how, like, I work with Deb Walters in Maine. Do you know her?
No.
She's was featured in Rotary magazine a few years back as the grandma that kayaked from Maine to Guatemala to earn money for the Safe Passage School down there. And now she's working up in the highlands and with the Mayans and looking. She called me to write a global grant. And I said, no, I'm not writing another global grant. It took 3 months of my life to write the last one. And because they even Rotary International wanted me to put drip rates of the water in there. And thank goodness I had there was a good project manager with ABPD that was able to provide that information for that global grant. But I prefer doing district grants. I've done countless matching and district grants, but I've done 3 global grants, and now I said it's somebody else's turn to do a global grant.
Say
It sounds like a lot of work.
Say habla español.
Un poco. I go on Duolingo. And of course, once I'm down there, I can understand a lot, and I get emails in Spanish, and I can read all of them without going to a translator. So I can read a lot of it, but to get it out of my mouth is the biggest problem. To go from my head to put the word and put it out of my mouth. How about you? Do you speak Spanish?
Un poco.
Oh, okay.
I lived in Panama 2 years, and I took Spanish in college. I learned more Spanish living in LA for 7 years.
That would figure.
Right. Well, we are past, 7 for me, it's 1 for you, apparently, and 10 for Mike. But so I am going to stop recording, and thank you very much, Lyn, for an incredibly beautiful presentation and very interesting as well. We hope to hear more from you from other travels. And yeah, so I'm gonna stop recording, and then people who want to stay on, they can just hang around and chat. But I will close the meeting officially with the words, and please say it with me: service above self.
Service above self.
Service above self.
Profits.
Thank you.